All right. Hello, Professor
Hi.
Cheit. You are a professor of political science and international affairs at Brown
Well,
University.
I'm political science.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think of you as the ethics expert. No pressure.
Well, I was on the ethics commission for 15 years, and I do the big course I teach at Brown is called Ethics and Public Policy.
Yeah. So you think about that a lot.
I do.
So tell me, how are you? How have you been? What have the last few months been like for you?
First I have this standard answer, which is I have no good answer to that question because it's a really hard question to answer. Because of the uncertainty. But I would say, in general, I'm fine. And day to day, I'm totally fine. I live in North Kingstown. I can bicycle. I spend a lot of time biking in Narragansett, and it's beautiful. So my daily life is really good. The sort of uncertainty about the future is really unsettling. So I find, occasionally I'm kind of very flipped out. But day to day, things are great.
Yeah, I appreciate that you said that because, there's been a lot of pushback to that question. Like, a lot of things I've seen and read about stop asking people how they are.
Oh, yeah, right,
Nobody's
right.
good. Don't ask. But I still like it as a question. So
Yeah, no, I think it's reasonable.
thanks for trying to answer it. So as a professor, with Brown, what has this semester that just wrapped up, what has that been like? And what are you all thinking going forward?
Yeah. Well, it was totally shocking. I mean, it was certainly, I feel like one week in March, at the beginning of the week, we were greeting next year's admitted doctoral students who had flown in from all over the country. And we had events on a Monday and Tuesday, and on Wednesday morning, I learned that the university would close on Thursday. So, it was very abrupt and certainly didn't see it coming. And a huge amount of adjustment. I'd never used Zoom. Brown did it in a nice way. They sent the students home. It was a week before spring break. So we sort of had 2 weeks to try to adjust. And I was only teaching a small course. So I was able to do it pretty easily. But it was pretty sobering to see my students over time, over the sort of 4 or 5 weeks. There was one student he had had roommates who had all left, and he was now sort of involuntarily living alone. And it kind of got sadder each week, and so there were students you could tell that it was wearing on them as the time went on.
Yeah. So what have you done? I mean, you talked about the uncertainty. What have you done to cope with that? Or what do you tell yourself when that's getting overwhelming?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I try to, you try to appreciate each day and try to do the day-to-day things. And like I said, day to day, I think that's why it's so disconcerting, is because I have a very nice day-to-day life. We're
Yeah.
cooking a lot, we're eating well. I live in a nice place. I can exercise. So day-to-day things are great. But the future's so uncertain. And for the university, I was just at a meeting where it looks like we're going to approve this 3-semester plan that would bring fewer students to campus in the fall. It has a million issues. And it's still unclear whether that'll even happen, because it's still possible that other events will require us to just go online entirely.
Yeah.
Especially as these other states look worse and worse.
Yeah. And that is terrifying and feels there's so much that's beyond our control, and that's just, one more element.
Yeah, no kidding.
Is there anything that you are feeling hopeful about?
Yeah, I'm feeling hopeful in 2 ways. One way is I teach public policy, and in public policy there is this sort of notion of the policy window, and the policy window is sort of the things that are in the policy window are things that are kind of in the realm of possibility, right? They're things that people are at least discussing and saying are possible. And I think that what's happened in the last few months is the policy window has changed. And I think it's gotten a lot bigger. I think that there are now things that are possible and are happening that 3 months ago we might have said are impossible. So the window's open, and that's, I'm interested in the Supreme Court. It's been, for years people have said, why can't you watch a Supreme Court proceeding, remotely? Oh no, we couldn't possibly do that. Well, now we've done it, and are they going to be able to turn the clock back and not do that in the future? You may have seen John Marion post, more people were watching an ethics commission meeting than have ever attended one.
Yeah.
So some good things are happening with this policy window open. And so people are considering things that they wouldn't have considered before. So things are possible. That's one answer. The other thing is I work with this age group that I think is wonderful. These 18 to 22-year-olds. You don't have to tell them chin up very often. It's people my age that need to be told chin up. It's not that age. Their chins are up.
Yeah.
And if anything, when this all hit, their inclination is more like they're worried about the people it hit harder than it hit them. They're compassionate. They want to do things. They're idealistic. This has not changed that. So there's nothing like talking to a 20-year-old right now to actually be hopeful.
Yeah. I bet they say the same thing about you.
Well, God knows what they say about me. But but it's, it's an endearing age, and I'm at a place where the students generally feel like they have a lot of agency, and not all people in that age group feel that way. They know they can change the world, and they just want to, so it's endearing to be around that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it does increase my sense of hope. I think they're less worried about the future than I am.
Huh. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, they have a long time horizon.
Yeah. Yeah, more than some of us.
Right.
Well, thank you for talking with me. It's nice to actually sort of meet you face to face after meeting you over Twitter many times.
Yeah, no kidding. No, it's a pleasure to meet you. I think what you do on Twitter is sort of a public service. And I feel like, as the ethics professor, I feel like the weird thing about Rhode Island is the 2 degrees of separation, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's great,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's a real problem, right? And it's sort of what we contend with. So, when I realize that somebody I know knows you, it's great. But when you're getting your cousin a special deal, at DMV, maybe it's not so great.
I try not to do that too often.
Yeah, well, but I feel like that's the Rhode Island, the funny
Yeah.
and the quirky thing about Rhode Island.
Yeah.